Good morning, my dear students. Welcome back to our Social Studies online class, Geography, third lesson, Production and Employment. In the previous class, you have studied about GDP and how do we estimate GDP. GDP means Gross Domestic Product. We use the total value of goods and services produced in the country as the indicator of income for the country. The technical term to denote this value is gross domestic product. How do we estimate GDP? The total value of final goods and services produced in each sector during a particular year provides the total production of the sectors of that year. The sum of productions in the three sectors gives what is called the gross domestic product of a country. Now, let us see changes in the importance of sectors, value of goods and services produced and employment of people, organized and unorganized sector employment in India, and how to create more and better condition of employment. Now, changes in the importance of sectors, value of goods and services produced and employment of people. We know how the size of GDP has increased over the years as more and more goods and services are produced. It is essential to know how this increase took place and what kind of activities contributed more to this growth of GDP. It has been noted that many of the now developed countries had agriculture and other allied activities as the most important contributor of GDP during the initial stages of development. As the methods of farming changed and agriculture sector began to prosper, it produced much more food than before. Many people could now take up other activities. There were increasing number of craft persons and traders. Buying and selling activities increased many times, further increasing the demand for goods and services. What you have read about the Industrial Revolution in the earlier classes? As new methods of manufacturing were introduced, factories came up and started expanding. Those people who had earlier worked on farms now began to work in factories in large numbers. People began to use many more goods. There was mass production by factories at much lower rates and these goods reached the market all over the world. The industrial sector became the dominant sector and the importance of the agriculture sector, both for employment and production, declined. In the agriculture sector, employment and production decreased. In the past 50 years, there has been a further shift from industry to service sector for developed countries. The service sector has become the most important sector in terms of total production. After Industrial Revolution, agriculture sector people changed into industrial sector, further shift from industry to service sector for developed countries. This is the general pattern observed in developed countries. Is a similar pattern observed in India too. Take out your textbook, page number 34. Look at the following pie charts. The contribution of various activities GDP has been presented for the two financial years 1973 to 74, 2015 to 16. GDP is made up of production from the three sectors: agriculture, industry, service. Agriculture, industry, service. Services in turn are seen two comprises of three types. Trade, hotel, transport and communications, finance, insurance and real estate, community, social and personal services, trade, hotel, transport, communications, finance, insurance and real estate. Finance, insurance, real estates belongs to services of banks and post offices, saving accounts, non-bank, life insurance and etc. Next, community and social personal services belongs to public administrations, defense, education, health, media, library, museum and other cultural activities, etc. Observation of above data, agriculture and finance and insurance, community, trade, hotel shows equal contribution to GDP. The contribution of industry is 9% more than the agriculture sector. And community, finance and services contribute least to GDP within service sector. During the 43 years period, the output share of agriculture sector has fallen drastically. There was small increase in the share of industrial output in GDP. In contrast to this, there is a tremendous increase in the share of services activities. Two output of three subsectors of service activities has expanded. Textbook, page number 36, graph 3 shows the share of employment in the three sectors in 1973 to 74 and 2015 to 16. The agriculture sector continues to be the largest employer even now. Why did not employment shift out of the agriculture sector? It is because not enough jobs were created in the industry and service sector. More than half of the workers in the country are working in the agriculture sector, producing only 1/6 of the gross domestic product. In contrast to this, the industry and service sector produce 3/4 of the GDP. Does this mean that the workers in agriculture are not producing as much as they could? It means that there are more people in agriculture, but everyone may not be fully occupied. So, even if a few people move out, production will not be affected. In this way, more number of people are engaged than required in agriculture. This is called as disguised unemployment. Disguised unemployment means a situation where people do not work to their full capacity. So this is disguised unemployment is one more important question. Disguised unemployment example here. Gayatri, who owns about 2 hectares of unirrigated land, depend only on rain and growing crops like jowar and red gram. All 5 members of her family work on the plant throughout the year. Why? They have nowhere else to go for work. Each one is doing same work, but no one is fully employed. This is the situation of people who are underemployment or disguised unemployment. So, there are lakhs of farmers like Gayatri in India. This underemployment can also happen in other sectors. For example, there are thousands of casual workers in the service sector in urban areas who search for daily employment. They are employed as painters, plumbers, repair persons, etc. Next, organized and unorganized sector employment in India. Organized sector means the sector which works according to certain rules and regulations given in various laws is known as organized sector. Examples are in India, banks, railways, insurance industries, central and state government jobs. Unorganized sector means unorganized sector of the economy refers to the household based manufacturing activity and small scale and niche sectors of industry. For example, agriculture laborers, small and marginal farmers, shopkeepers, and artisans like weavers, blacksmiths, carpenters, etc. Here, Narasimha and Rajeshwari are illustrative examples of workers employed in organized and unorganized sectors. Example, Narasimha working in organized sector. Narasimha works in government office. He attends his office from 9:30 to 5:30 p.m. He used his motorbike to travel from his house to office, which is about 5 kilometers away. He gets his salary regularly at the end of every month, deposited in his bank account. In addition to the salary, he also gets provident fund as per the rules laid down by the government. He also gets medical and other allowances. Narasimha does not go to office on Sundays. This is paid holidays. When he joined work, he was given an appointment letter stating all the terms and condition of work. So Narasimha work in organized sector, enjoys security of job employment and work only for fixed number of hours, and they have to be paid overtime by the employers and other benefits from the employers, get paid leaves, payment during the holidays, provident fund, etc. facilities are there. Narasimha. One more example here, Rajeshwari. Rajeshwari working in unorganized sector. Rajeshwari is working as a construction worker. She goes for work at 7 a.m. to return home at 7 p.m. She travels about 8 kilometers to 10 kilometers daily for work by bus. Construction workers get 1 hour lunch break between 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. She gets work only for 10 to 12 days a month. On the remaining days, she has no work and she does not get any wages. She gets rupees 150 per day as wages. Mostly she is paid the wages on the spot in the evening. Example, Narasimha working in organized sector. Narasimha works in government office. He attends his office from 9:30 to 5:30 p.m. He used his motorbike to travel from his house to office, which is about 5 kilometers away. He gets his salary regularly at the end of every month, deposited in his bank account. In addition to the salary, he also gets provident fund as per the rules laid down by the government. He also gets medical and other allowances. Narasimha does not go to office on Sundays. This is paid holidays. When he joined work, he was given an appointment letter stating all the terms and condition of work. So Narasimha work in organized sector, enjoys security of job employment and work only for fixed number of hours, and they have to be paid overtime by the employers and other benefits from the employers, get paid leaves, payment during the holidays, provident fund, etc. facilities are there. Narasimha. One more example here, Rajeshwari working in unorganized sector. Rajeshwari is working as a construction worker. She goes for work at 7 a.m. to return home at 7 p.m. She travels about 8 kilometers to 10 kilometers daily for work by bus. Construction workers get 1 hour lunch break between 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. She gets work only for 10 to 12 days a month. On the remaining days, she has no work and she does not get any wages. She gets rupees 150 per day as wages. Mostly she is paid the wages on the spot in the evening. So here Rajeshwari working in unorganized sector. Here are low paid and not regular. There is no provisions of overtime, paid leaves, holidays, leave due to sickness, etc. Employment is not secure. People can be asked to leave without any reason. Do you see the difference in their condition of work? The distinction between organized and unorganized sectors helps us to understand the working situation and wages received by the majority of workers in the country. 92% of workers in India are found in unorganized sector and only 8% find work in the organized sector. What are the differences between organized sector and unorganized sector? Organized sector covers those enterprises where the terms of employment are regular and people have assured jobs. But unorganized sector is characterized by small and scattered units which have remained outside the control of government. So unorganized sectors employed example banks, insurance and central government employees and state government employees. Unorganized sector employs only agriculture laborers, painters, artisans remaining, etc. So next one, rules and regulations are made and followed. Unorganized sector, rules and regulations are made and followed. But there are rules and regulations, but these are not followed. Next, organized sector salaries are paid on Basic Wages Act. Salaries are paid on Basic Wage Act. In unorganized sector, wages are low and regularly paid. Next point, fourth one, organized sector workers enjoyed security of employment, but unorganized sector employment is not secured. Organized sector employee cannot be forced to leave the job without any reason. Unorganized sector workers can be asked to leave the job without any reason. Organized sector employees enjoy insurance and medical claims and medical facilities like hospitals and other medical facilities. But unorganized sector workers do not enjoy any insurance or medical claims. Seventh point, organized sector constitute 8% of employment but contribute to GDP 50%. Unorganized sector, this sector gives employment to 92% but contributes only 50% to gross domestic product. Let us examine both the production of goods and services and employment from these sectors. The unorganized sector also contributes to gross domestic product. During 2004 and 5, the unorganized sector workers accounted for 92% of all workers that contributed half of all production. So 50% production. On the other hand, only 8% of people had to decent employment, means organized sector contributes 50% of the production of goods and services. The products and services of these companies find a market, but they support a very small section of the population with privileged jobs. This is an extremely unequal situation. The rest find only insecure, low-paying jobs or are self-employed with low earning or remaining underemployed. Next topic, how to create more and better condition of employment. How to create more and better conditions of employment. Take the case of Gayatri with her 2-hectare plot of unirrigated land. The government can spend some money or bank can provide a loan to construct a well for her family to irrigate the land. Gayatri will be able to irrigate her land and take a second crop wheat during the Rabi season. So, 2 more members of Gayatri family can be employed in her own field. Now suppose many small dams are constructed and canals are dug to irrigate many such farms. This could lead to a lot of employment generation within the agriculture sector, itself reducing the problem of underemployment. Now, next example. If the government invests some money in transportation and storage of crops or makes better rural roads so that many trucks reach everywhere several farmers, this activity can provide productive employment to not just farmers but also others such as those in services like transport or trade. Gayatri's need is not confined to water alone. To cultivate the land, she also needs seeds, fertilizers, agriculture equipments and pump sets to draw water. Being a poor farmer, she cannot afford many of these. So, she will have to borrow money from moneylenders and pay a high rate of interest. If the local bank gives her credit at a reasonable rate of interest, she will be able to buy all these in time and cultivate her land. This means that along with water, we also need to provide cheap agriculture credit to the farmers for farming to improve. Another way by which we can tackle this problem is to identify, promote and locate industries and services in semi-rural areas where a large number of people may be employed. For instance, many farmers decide to grow millets and other cereals. Setting up a flour mill to procure and process these and sell in the cities is one such example. So nowadays, we not only have to generate new employment opportunities but also train many workers to work efficiently and with machines. We should invest in many industries in both rural and semi-urban areas so that we are able to produce many more goods and services. Okay children, hope you all understood the topic production and employment. In this lesson, important questions. What do you mean by organized sector? The sector which works according to certain rules and regulations given in various laws is known as unorganized sector. Next question. What do you mean by disguised unemployment? Disguised unemployment is a situation where people do not work to their full capacity. Next one. Give examples for unorganized sector people. Agriculture laborers, small and marginal farmers, sharecroppers and artisans like weavers, blacksmiths, carpenters, etc. Next, what are the differences between organized and unorganized sector? Workers in the organized sector enjoy security of employment and works only for a fixed number of hours, and they have to be paid overtime by the employees. Next, several other benefits from the employees. They get paid leaves, payment during the holidays, provident fund, etc. But unorganized sectors, jobs here are low paid and not regular. There is no provisions for overtime, paid leaves, holidays, leaves due to sickness, etc. Employment is not secure. People can be asked to leave without any reasons. Okay, children. Thank you.